carriers doing short-haul flights. So look for those short-haul flights, and you'll see some softness in the fares.
Dow is down 245. This is CBS News.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? I'm Jim O'Connor, independent life insurance agent specializing in term life insurance. There's been a price war between the major life insurance companies. If you've had your term life policy more than 2 years, you may be paying too much. For example, a male age 45, non-tobacco user issue preferred best, $1 million of coverage is only $56 a month guaranteed level for 10 years. Or a male age 50, non-tobacco user issue preferred best, $500,000 of coverage is only $91 a month guaranteed level for 20 years. The life insurance industry is going through exciting changes. Make sure you're not paying too much for your term insurance. For new or replacement term life insurance, call for a free quote. 800-799-0903. That's 800-799-0903. Don't pay too much for your term insurance. Call 800-799-0903 or visit my website at term22.com. That's term22.com. Rates based on standard underwriting and may vary by state.
It's down to the wire on what's supposed to be the final day of the Paris climate talks, and no final document yet.
Negotiators and analysts say this delay is not a sign of trouble at the talks. Rather, the participants want to give themselves extra time to get the best deal possible. They've been sticking on issues such as how much nations can realistically reduce carbon emissions and who will pay for the trillion-dollar transition to clean energy on a global scale. Elaine Cobb, CBS News, Paris.
The government says producer prices rose in November for the first time in 4 months. They were driven up by higher profit margins for retailers and wholesalers and a jump in shipping costs. And retail sales turned in a modest gain last month. Analysts say that's a sign holiday shopping's off to a solid but unspectacular start. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
It's panic time. The boss just asked you when that new building will be completed, and you haven't even started yet. Well, don't panic. Call the name you know, General Steel. You've known General Steel for decades, and you know they'll save you about half the cost and about half the time of conventional construction. But did you know that General Steel has provided buildings for some of the biggest names in business and government? And did you know the General can provide pre-construction planning services for your total project? And I'll bet you didn't know you can get General Steel quality and save thousands. For example, a 40-foot by 60-foot building for under $22,000, or a 50 by 100 for under $35,000. That's right, 5,000 square feet for under $35,000, and all with General Steel's 50-year structural warranty. So don't panic. Call now and lock in some of the lowest prices this year. 866-96-STEEL. Call 866-96-STEEL today. Quick, the boss is coming. That's 866-967-8335.
KRMS News Time is 10:06. Partly sunny today. Look for high in the upper 60s. I'm Darius Wentz with the Lakes News Now. The Osage Beach Parkway West Study Committee will conduct a meeting on Monday. Agenda items include 2 requests for qualifications. One deals with requirements and process, while the other is for details and deadlines. The recently created committee will also be assisting in the selection of a qualified engineering firm and evaluating options for the future of the parkway on the west side of the city. Monday's meeting begins at 10 a.m. at the Osage Beach City Hall. The Missouri Department of Transportation will hold a public meeting on Tuesday to provide information on proposed improvements to bridges in Miller and Morgan counties. The improvements to be discussed include deck rehabilitation over the South Moreau River north of Eldon on Missouri Route 87 and replacement of 2 bridges over Indian Creek south of Barnett on Route AA with 2 concrete box culverts. Both projects will require the closing of the roads and detour of traffic during the summer of 2016. Tuesday's public meeting will be held from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Eldon High School Commons area. And the gavel will be heard in the Senate chamber again starting on January 6, 2016, when the second regular session of the 98th General Assembly begins. Already several subjects have been addressed as potential points of discussion. Capitol reporter Dean Morgan has more.
Senator Bob Ondra of Lake St. Louis says part of his legislative wish list relates to a hearing held last week on human trafficking.
Well, one piece of legislation that I supported last year, carried in the Senate, was a piece of legislation to make it illegal to advertise for trafficked children.
Pre-filed legislation started receiving bill numbers for the upcoming session on December 1st. Reporting from the Missouri Senate, I'm Dean Morgan.
When you see news happening, call the KRMS Newsroom at 573-317-TALK or email newsroom at krmsradio.com. I'm Darius Wentz, KRMS News.
This news brought to you by Lake Detail in Camdenton. Keep your vehicle clean and protected this winter with the help of Lake Detail. No appointment needed for the express wash in and out service. And for just a few dollars more, they'll add a wax treatment and 6-month sealant. Of course, they'll clean your tires and rims, door jambs, interior vac, and more. You will be satisfied. They also offer windshield chip repair and replacement service. Just north of the square in Camdenton on Business Highway 5, Lake Detail. Ask about their gift certificates, too. LakeDetail.com or 346-2006.
I'm meteorologist Nikki Latola with your News Talk KRMS Weather Eye forecast. Partly sunny skies expected today, high temperatures topping out in the upper 60s. A southeasterly wind of 5 to 10 miles an hour. Mostly cloudy skies tonight, lows bottoming out in the mid-50s, and a southerly wind of 5 to 10. The current water temperature measured at Ozark Barge and Dock Service, who make the strongest docks on the lake, is 54 degrees. And the temperature at the studios is, right now, it's 43.
Wondering which Medicare Part D plan is right for you? Lake Regional Pharmacy is here to help. Our knowledgeable pharmacists will offer enrollment assistance this month at our convenient locations in Lake Ozark and Osage Beach. To schedule your appointment, contact a Lake Regional Pharmacy today or visit lakeregional.com/events for Medicare Part D assistance dates and locations. Lake Regional Pharmacy, here for you.
Hi, I'm Elaine, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale College President Larry Arnn on the importance of the presidential oath of office.
Members of Congress and federal judges take an oath to the Constitution, but the Constitution prescribes the exact words of the oath only for the president. The American presidency was a new and powerful office created at the Constitutional Convention of 1787. Nothing like it existed in any other constitution in history. It was designed to allow certain virtues: decision, activity, secrecy, dispatch, things like that. And they were thought to be essential to executive power, especially in a crisis. But despite this immense power, the president is not so powerful as the Constitution itself. That is why presidents must pledge to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, and why it is the duty of the people to ensure that they do so.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
At Hedges Scott Funeral Home, they know that there comes a time when you'll have to make one of life's hardest decisions, planning an unexpected funeral. Hey, it's hard for anyone. Wouldn't it be comforting to know that you have pre-arranged your services for your family? Hedges Scott Funeral Home is here to listen to you and help you through that difficult time. Serving the lake since 1941 and located in Osage Beach, Camdenton, and Max Creek. Hedges Scott Funeral Home, 346-2090, 346-2090.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. And this could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-95-STEEL. 866-95-STEEL. That's 866-95-STEEL.
2 little tablets is all it takes to make your thin hair feel and look thicker and fuller, guaranteed. Viviscal is clinically researched to promote existing hair growth from men and women. You'll love your hair growth results, guaranteed. Viviscal is so effective, it's recommended by top doctors. Want to try Viviscal? Every listener that calls now gets a 90-day risk-free supply plus free shipping. Call now, 800-881-6940. 800-881-6940. That's 800-881-6940.
Your station for weather is News Talk 1150 and 97.5 KRMS. 15 full-time meteorologists will deliver advance warning anytime, day or night. Emergency weather is sponsored by Precision Auto in Osage Beach because they want you safe in your car and home. When severe weather breaks out, we'll break in to keep you informed. It's what you expect from Precision Auto and the news leader in Central Missouri, KRMS.
The views expressed during this program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Viper Broadcasting. Please limit your calls to 1 per hour. You've had all morning to think it over. Now let's talk about it. Your phone calls are welcome at 573-302-7000 or toll free at 1-866-372-1270. It's hour number 2 of the KRMS Morning Magazine on News Talk 1150, KRMS, and 97.5 KRMS FM.
10:13 is our time. Good morning. It is the Ozarks this morning, 54 degrees now. More clouds moving in. I thought we were going the other way where we were going to get more sunshine, but a mix of clouds and sun apparently today, a high near 70. Then for tonight, we'll see things kind of stay the same as far as the overall cloud conditions, but lows right around the mid-50s. Upper 60s and a chance for some precipitation tomorrow. Then a chance of rain tomorrow night as well, with a low of around 60 degrees. 63 your high on Sunday, the low of 39, with a chance again of some precipitation. In Studio Doppler Weather Radar, it is sponsored by Hewlett Chevrolet Buick GMC. No pressure, no prices. That's the way they do it. The service department has recently been appointed as an approved, AAA-approved auto repair facility. Good news for you. You take the vehicle in, you get it worked on, and through the confidence, the peace of mind, and the trust, you're in good hands with Hewlett Chevrolet Buick GMC. We see the clouds, but we're not seeing anything in the way of precipitation. And I would say that is a good thing right now. Miller, Morgan, and Camden counties on the WeatherTap.com Radar Lab HD showing absolutely nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. We're going to open this hour up to you, a open line Friday of sorts. You can talk about basically whatever you want, as long as it's, within reason. Don't say any dirty words. You know what I mean. Not really a ticked-off Tuesday, more of an opportunity to bring some topics to the table that you feel may need to be addressed. And I do see you, caller, 302-7000, 877-330-1150. Caller, we'll go to you. Good morning. You're on KRMS.
Good morning, KB. How's it going?
I'm doing well, sir. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I want to thank you for the other day when you gave me the opportunity to be on. It was very successful.
My pleasure. Thank you, sir, for what you're doing.
But today, I couldn't wait till ticked off Tuesday.
Okay.
This can't wait.
Well, go right ahead.
A couple of days ago, Mr. Luber was on at 4 o'clock on KRMS.
Yes, sir.
And I thought at one time all 3 commissioners had to be there at the same time.
That is the policy that we had put in place, and that was an understanding that we had come to with all 3 of the commissioners so as to avoid any issues or any problems.
But that's fine. That's here or there. But anyway, he kind of weaseled his way in there, it looked like. But anyway, to give a little idea of what I listened to, it kind of sounds like Cliff Luber seems to be running Road and Bridge and has for the past 3 years. But I got to say, he's not doing a very good job. Mm-hmm. And as a commissioner, he's not doing a very good job. I mean, that's pretty plain and simple. And back a few years ago when I called in, and the offer still stands when they had some troubles a few years ago, I offered to buy the material and build a sandbox out in front of the courthouse and see if they could get along together. But now the only sandbox that I'd like to build would be personally for him, because it seems like he's the only problem that we have in Camden County. I mean, he gets on your radio station like at 4 o'clock. He puts letters to the editor in the paper, the other paper, and he doesn't have a clue basically what he's talking about. The county employees has had an 8% raise back in 2008. They got a raise back in 2008. Yes, they just got $1 an hour raise, but there's some workers there that's making like $9 an hour. Okay, there's also some employees that are making $15 to $20 an hour. Instead of giving an 8% raise or so, they gave every employee $1 an hour. And he's complaining about that. He talks about a work study or job study of the area. Where are you going to go find truck drivers, for instance, and find out what a truck driver's making in Camden County? Yes, we have construction people, but are they making $22 an hour? Or are they making $15 an hour? We have housekeepers at the hospital, janitors. How much are they making? Yes. We made $9.50 an hour 17 years ago at the hospital. Some of your county employees is right now making $10 an hour. Let's get real, Cliff.
All right.
But I don't know why he has to be a one-man operation. There's 3 commissioners.
Yes,
He's not the only one there.
Yes, there is. You're absolutely right. And I appreciate your phone call this morning. Thank you for
Thank
you for getting the ball rolling. I had been approached and received a number of messages as to why Mr. Luber was on the program. I had always assumed that everyone knew the policy. If one commissioner was on the air, then all the commissioners were to be on the air. And it's interesting because of the fact that I think in the defense of Kelly Ray, our news director, Kelly was not aware of that policy. So he is not at fault for what he did. It is essentially someone who was in the know, and I would have gathered that considering all of the flack and the heat and everything going on during the time where we made the judgment to make it all or nothing, that would be something that someone would very easily remember. And so I don't know if it was a lapse of memory or it was an opportunity to hope that someone was not aware of the policy of the radio station to have all the commissioners on at one time, or none of the commissioners on, and someone just took advantage of that. And so I was never contacted by Mr. Luber and asked to be on the radio. He specifically contacted Kelly Ray, our news director, and so I can't speak for Mr. Luber, but it is something that I would think that at this particular point he knew full well the policy, and for one reason or another, I guess he just decided to ignore it. 10:20 is our time. Let's go back to the phones. Caller, good morning. You're on KRMS. Thanks for holding on.
Yes, I'll listen to Mr. Lukemeyer discussing this world warming, and these countries are having a meeting on over in Europe. And I was a prisoner of war in North Korea for 3 years, and the Chinese used to give us brainwashing. And back in 1950, this one Chinese said, giving us this lecture, said, "You Americans and you rich countries of the world, when you want something to happen, you throw money at it. And then when it happens, you give them more money so that it'll keep happening." And that's all I have to say. But the Chinese was talking about that in 1950, and we're doing it like he said it would happen. And he was a communist.
I believe I met you, it's been several months ago. You were over at Sears one Saturday morning, and I had an opportunity to speak with you, and I have to say that you told me some very interesting stories, and I had often wondered about people that were prisoners of war and how it couldn't have been easy for you to be able to assimilate or reassimilate back into civilian life after all you had gone through. I mean, was there any time that you needed to sit down and get therapy or some sort of medical treatment, or what was that whole process like when you were finally released and came home?
When I bailed out of the airplane, I weighed 165 pounds, and when they captured me, I weighed 104. I hadn't had any salt in 3 years, no meat, no rice. All we ate was soybeans, corn, and millet and barley that was boiled, and that's what we lived on. And another little thing that happened while I was in prison camp, 8 of us sitting in a room, we're talking. One of them said, "Let's go around the room and see what religion we all are." So we started naming off one of them Baptist, Christian, Episcopalian, Catholic, and right on around the room to the guy that brought up the subject, and we all looked at him, and he said, "Isn't that stupid?" And we all looked, and he said, "All those silly names, and you're still all Christians."
It's very interesting, and that's a very interesting story. Sir, I appreciate you taking the time to call and share that with us this morning.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I got more of them, but I'm going to let you go because you need the time.
Well, you know what? In this instance, I have all the time in the world for you, sir. And if you would like to tell some more stories, I would certainly love to give you the opportunity to do that for our listeners.
Well, another thing, when somebody would die, we wouldn't know whether he'd been baptized or not. So we'd get four guys, and we'd take a cup of water out of the Yalu River, and we'd stick our fingers in it and make a little cross on his head. And then we'd all hold hands and say the Lord's Prayer. And we'd think, well, I'm sure God would accept that as a baptism in case he hadn't been baptized. That's one of the things we did. We learned a lot about living together and living without, and like the Chinese, which was communist, they said, under communism, everybody is the same. If you need something, you just went over to your neighbor and asked him for something. The government couldn't come in and say you can't have it or you don't have it. If your neighbor wants to give it to you, that's fine. But you capitalists, you have 5 or 6 families up there on the East Coast that have all the money, and anything you want to do, you have to get permission from them. And it was things like that we talked about. So I'll let you go, let somebody else.
Thank you for your phone call, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
1023, and thank you for your service to this country, your enduring service to this country. 1024, I think when we talk to people, there's not a whole lot of people in this day and age that can say that they were a prisoner of war and that they endured the types of things that these folks endured when you were basically given as little as necessary in order to survive. And, of course, it had to be a huge, huge drain on all these folks psychologically, mentally, physically, psychologically, emotionally, you name it. And that gentleman took the time to call us this morning. Thank you very much, sir. 1024 is our time. We'll take a break, come back and talk more with you after this on KRMS.
After flying from one side of the country to the other, Gene and Ramona are tired and hungry. There's something waiting for them that makes the stiff necks and rumbling stomachs worth it. A bright yellow taxi takes the two to their son's house, where he and his wife are waiting for them to arrive. Gathering in the kitchen around a fresh Casey's pizza, they cradle a tiny new baby boy, meeting their grandson for the very first time. Casey's, famous for pizza.
It's the last GOP debate of 2015, and it's only on CNN. Trump, Carson, Cruz, Rubio, Bush. The race is more intense than ever. Kasich, Fiorina, Christie, Paul, Huckabee. And there's only one place you can see the action. Only on CNN. Santorum, Pataki, Graham. Wolf Blitzer moderates the next Republican presidential debate. Tuesday night starting at 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
The statements and views of this advertiser do not represent the views or opinions of this station.
21 signs of doomsday. Science says eat butter. God said, man said.com. Noah's Ark, fact or fiction. Geologists confirm crucifixion. God said, man said.com. Science studies speaking in tongues. Hours of text and audio. Doctors shocked with what they found in female brains. St. Peter's fish. Extraterrestrials. God said, man said.com.
Are you tired of exposing your retirement to stock market risk? Are you concerned about outliving your money? Are you tired of paying high fees and commission even when you lose your money? Well, join us each Saturday afternoon at 1:30 for the Safe Money and Income radio show right here on KRMS. That's Saturdays at 1:30 for the Safe Money and Income radio show for Solutions right here on KRMS.
This is
Margaret Podlick, president of Boat U.S.
This is Fred Messman, deputy director for the National Safe Boating Council.
This is Brady Kay from Pontoon and Deck Boat Magazine.
This is Jody McMillan from Caframo.
This is Captain Dave Anderson with Boat U.S. Lake the Ozarks, and I'd like to thank everybody listening for Bob's No Wake Zone radio show.
It's Captain Bob here, reminding you to join us Saturday mornings 7 to 8 on News Talk KRMS.
This is Bob Teague. I am the owner and throttleman of the Team Amsoil offshore race boat. Thanks for listening to Bob's No Wake Zone boating radio show.
The American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank
you. News Talk 1150 KRMS.
10:27 is our time. 55 degrees now. Seeing a few peaks of sunshine through the clouds. This is an open line Friday hour. Your phone calls are welcome. 302-7000, 877-330-1150. Live at KRMSradio.com. Caller, thanks for holding on. You're on KRMS. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
I would love to address the interview. First of all, I'd like to say I feel really bad for Kelly Ray. Now he knows.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
And I appreciate you guys, just telling us what happened. But I'd like to make 3 quick points, if I could, regarding what was said in the interview.
Go ahead.
By Commissioner Luber. First of all, if he's been running Road and Bridge 3 years solo, he's not doing the job I'm paying him to do, because we pay them to work as 3 people making decisions, because that's our checks and balances. So his claim, if he's doing that, I don't want him back in office. And then if that's a false statement, he's a liar. So either way it goes, I'm not really thrilled about the statements he made regarding that, and trying to throw the other commissioners under the bus like they're not doing a good job and he's the only one that can. Regarding the employees' dollar raise, he went on and on and on about the sheriffs, the summons money that goes into a fund for the state, and the dollar raise. Okay, that was for a lot of other employees besides deputies that make under $28,000. So to sit there and make that statement like that, I think is a slap to the other employees. And then also that state fund is what, from what I understand, I thought it was for smaller communities that can't afford to pay their deputies $28,000 a year. We're a first-class county. To me, that's the wealthier of the state taking advantage of a fund that exists. That money comes from somewhere. It's not magic money. So that whole argument on that just kind of, blew me away. And then I want to question also why at the end he throws the assessor under the bus. He was on another radio station earlier this year and went through the same tirade of going through all the other elected officials. He is not a government of one. He does not have all the answers for us. So to take that approach and just willy-nilly sit there and start slapping things and saying that he's not going to explain anything, again, is irresponsible, and I don't appreciate it. So that's kind of all my points for the moment.
Thank you for your phone call this morning. We've got another caller on the line. Caller, I appreciate you holding on. You're on KRMS. Go ahead.
Yes, talking about $800 million going to global warming and all of the other outrageous things the federal government is doing to drive us into bankruptcy and destroy our jobs. Perhaps the quickest way back to prosperity for the most would be to provide for the common defense, which would include the veterans, start paying back at interest to those who paid into Social Security, and then shut down the federal government. Return to state sovereignty where they could invite industry and capital to come back to their particular state, invite industry back in, everybody goes out to work or back to work, deport the illegal aliens that are useless and criminals, and enable the people that are on welfare to get back to work at all these jobs that are being created. And there comes this huge base of money from which the private citizens can fund. If they want to fund Planned Parenthood, they can. They can fund it, but no federal money for anything anymore. If you want to support Hamas, go ahead and donate your own money to it, or Israel, or to whatever other charity you want. But the federal government, the people would be better off if the federal government had very little power and very little money to spread around.
Very good, sir. Appreciate your phone call this morning. Let's go back to the phones. Caller, good morning. You're on KRMS.
Hello?
Hello. Go ahead, caller.
Hey,
KB, this is Greg Hasty. How are you doing?
Doing well, sir. Good to hear from you this morning.
Good. Hey, listen, I just wanted to call in. If you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, and I understand your policy with regard to commissioners. But, if there's anything you have an interest in knowing, you can either stop by the office here and visit with me, or you can visit with me now. I'm always available, and I'm always here.
Well, and I'm glad you took the opportunity to call. I know that you called yesterday, and I did forward your phone call on to Kelly Ray, who's actually in the studio with me right here now.
Good morning, everyone.
And again, I apologize. It was something that we understood to be policy here at the radio station. If one commissioner makes an appearance, then it should be with all the rest of the commissioners. So if there are any discrepancies, if there are any issues, if there are any problems, they can be addressed and taken care of as a whole rather than individually. And so to you and to Commissioner Thomas, I apologize for that if indeed things were kind of taken out of context here a little bit. But on behalf of Kelly,
I just want to let you guys know I'm not concerned about it.
Okay.
Everybody needs to give each other a little bit of space.
Sure, absolutely.
And Greg, this is Kelly. If you would like to be on the air, you and Bev, or you or Bev, and would like to talk about, the subject at hand, we could do that. I mean, get the
I want to respect your position with regard to this, and I think it's a good position to take. So, but obviously, you guys are the press, and you are, it's kind of your duty to guard our government and keep an eye out for us. You're the check for government.
Well, generally speaking. It was a deal that was allowed to go on too long in the past, and we wanted to really nip it because of the fact that we feel as though the best way to discuss issues is collectively, not individually, and it really then it does cut down on hearsay, and it does cut down on rumors, and it does cut down on people being put in positions or their position being compromised when they're not able to speak on their behalf.
Yes, I understand. Okay. Well, I just wanted you guys to just let you know I'm good, and if there's anything that you need, I'm always available.
Well, thank you, sir, and we appreciate that, and we will definitely take you up on that offer when that opportunity presents itself.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Presiding Commissioner Greg Hasty. Let's take another phone call. Caller, good morning. You're on KRMS. Caller, you still with us? Go ahead, caller. Nope. All right, let's go back to the phones. Caller, go ahead. You're on KRMS. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Just to remind all of the listeners, and I'm sure most of them are well aware, that the president does not spend a single penny Congress does not authorize him to spend. That goes with the global warming spending and everything else. So our illustrious Republicans in Washington, D.C. have authorized every penny that is being spent right now. It continues to go up, as well as our state budget continues to go up under Republican leadership. We need to cut away at that and start downsizing our state government as well. Thank you.
Thanks for your phone call this morning. 10:35 is our time. It got a little interesting. Got a little interesting around here, and I'm glad you took the opportunity to come in, and I was kind of hoping that you would. The interview itself that was conducted a couple of afternoons ago, rather, on your program. See, 3, 4 o'clock to me, that's night.
Yes, 3 to 4 o'clock. That's first call for me. So,
but you and I spoke about this yesterday, and kind of got it all worked out. So you're aware of what's going on, and I don't think anybody is criticizing your position or anything that you did because of the fact that you were just unaware.
Right. What had happened is Mr. Luber had called me probably a month ago and told me that there was some concern that he had about the finances with the $1 an hour raise that we discussed on the show Wednesday. And he contacted me Tuesday, and he had sent the letter out not only to KRMS, but other media outlets like Expo.com had it. I believe Lake Sun had it. We have so many media outlets in this town. It's crazy. But he had sent it out to all of them, and I had called him back. I said, hey, would you like to talk about this on the show?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a concern. And he said, sure, I'll come on in. And that was it. There was no, hey, we want to throw so-and-so under the bus. We want to do this. We want to do that. We want to get everybody riled up on something, which I think we inadvertently did. And it was one of those things that, I at the time didn't think we'd get a lot of flack over, and I didn't really know the rule, the policy that was in place, and now I do. And Cliff, if you're listening, unfortunately now, if we do this and you want to be on the air again, we got to open it up to Bev Thomas and to Greg Hasty as well, and let them have the opportunity to come in as well. It's just, and I appreciate what Greg said, that we are a steward of the people to protect the government. There are stories sometimes. Trust me, I'm a person just like everyone else is out there. I put one leg on at a time, and on my pants.
One leg on it.
Yeah, I put one pant leg on at a time. And there are times that I look at a story and I think, oh gosh, do we really have to do this? And there's other things that come through here that we don't even do anything on. It's like, okay, we're just going to move on. We're going to just do whatever. If it's something that does affect the people of Camden County, of the Lake region, we're going to be all over it. That's just the way we are. We're the number one news source in the area, and we're going to stay there. And so if I stepped on anybody's toes, I apologize.
You're fine, man.
Which
it's good. It's good.
Which I think everybody is. It was just one of those things that slipped by me, and now I know. Now we go on from here.
Well, I like I said, am totally behind you, and the fact that you didn't know, and honestly, I'm surprised it wasn't then, if you didn't mention it, that it wasn't brought to the table, because, like I said, I received numerous emails, text messages on Facebook. Have you guys dropped it? No, we haven't dropped it. It was always the policy, and I think everybody knew that. And maybe there was some confusion in there, but I question that as well. 10:38 is our time. Thank you, sir, for coming in and clarifying your position on all of this. We'll take a break and come back and take some more phone calls on KRMS.
Welcome to Spielers. What's with the party hat?
I'm celebrating buying my new truck.
At Spielers, we believe buying a new car should be just as enjoyable as owning it. So we listen to what you want and work to make your experience happy from start to end. Get $4,000 cash back plus 0% for 75 months on a 2015 Ram 1500 Crew Cab 4x4 at our year-end Blockbuster sales event. Visit us in California or find us at Spielers.net. See dealer for details.
You are the one!
KRMS 93.5 Rocks and Dock Realty present Deck the Docks, a lake tradition, for the 5th year. Board the celebration and cruise and view beautifully decorated homes and docks between the 11 and 21 mile marks while you enjoy light appetizers and live entertainment. Board at 5:30 and start cruising at 6 on Friday, December 11th. Be entertained by Tim Gaines and enjoy appetizers from Panera Bread. On Sunday, December 13th, board the celebration at the Redhead Yacht Club. Entertainment is by Me and Jim, with appetizers from the Redhead Lakeside Grill. Reservations are required, so go to cruiselakeoftheozarks.com or call the celebration at 480-3212. Proceeds benefit the Dogwood Animal Shelter. Cruises this weekend are sponsored by Advantage Marine. Deck the Docks 2015 season sponsors are Bed & Biscuit, Pet Resort and Spa, First State Bank Mortgage, Jack Tezak, Keller Williams, Lake of the Ozarks Realty, Reinhold Electric, and Shawnee Ben Bank. Some cruises already sold out, so call 480-3212 now to reserve your spot.
Hi, this is Jeff Smith with Alpha Graphics and Alpha Custom Apparel. We're the Lake's full-service, one-stop printer that can handle all of your printing, custom apparel, and promotional product needs. From business cards to business shirts and bandanas to brochures, we can make you and your business stand out. Our in-house design team can put your imagination on paper, apparel, and or social media. State-of-the-art printing equipment gives you the highest quality finished products with a quick turnaround time. We have the best printing prices in town and can meet all of your printed needs, including rack cards, posters, and full-size banners. Our printed products are produced locally and support the lake area. Alpha Graphics and Alpha Custom Apparel is locally owned and operated in Osage Beach at 1140 Industrial Drive. Stop by and see us or give us a call at 348-5900 for a free quote. For all your printing needs, Alpha Graphics and Alpha Custom Apparel are here to help you increase your reach.
E. coli scare causing Chipotle to temporarily close doors. Fred Thompson has died.
The migration problem. News Talk 1150, KRMS.
(10:41), 19 now away from 11 o'clock. As we continue to Leave it up to you, the open line hour for this 11th day of December. Don't forget, lots going on this weekend. We are in the thick of it, as always. We will definitely be out there tonight at one of two locations. You can join us on board the celebration. If they do have room available, 573-480-3212, 573-480-3212. A reservation and $25 gets you on board to cruise the lake between the 11 and 21 mile markers and see all the beautifully lit decks, docks, and homes. And some folks are really doing it up very well this year. Thanks to everybody who's taken the opportunity to light it up for the 2015 season. And all of the proceeds benefiting the Dogwood Animal Shelter. Also, tonight is the Lake Race Christmas Party at Redhead Yacht Club. And that's always a lot of fun. Getting ready to prepare for Lake Race 2016. A lot going on there. We had some folks that are going to be a big part of it yesterday. The folks with the Speed Fest that's going to be going on the Osage Beach Parkway on the west side, the Parkway west side, on Thursday, June the 2nd. 1043 caller, good morning. You're on KRMS.
Yes, I just happened to catch the very last part of that conversation the other day with the commissioner, and my question was all the money that was collected to pay for our road improvements, that money is now no longer going to be used for the roads? That was my question.
I didn't hear the conversation, ma'am, and I cannot give you the answer. Kelly Ray was just in here, so maybe if he's listening, I can get him to come back in and explain what was being said. Maybe I can grab him here on the tail end of the break and get him back in here to talk a little bit about it. I know he's gone in to start preparing news for the day. But we will. Oh, here he comes. Did you catch your question there? Here, why don't you just jump in here real quick? Okay. Go ahead and if you could give this woman an explanation of the way you interpreted that.
Okay. What was your question again? I'm sorry.
She hung up.
Oh, great. Okay. What's your interpretation of the question?
She had said that all the money that had been collected, I guess, for roads and bridges is not going to be used for roads and bridges?
Because the way that Mr. Luber feels things are going is that if with the raise that they've given the county employees, all county employees, there won't be enough money to do everything else that has been budgeted, basically.
Okay.
So they're going to have to take money away from roads and bridges. They're going to have to take money away from positions in the courthouse,
right,
depending on what office they were in. That's basically what he was saying.
All right, let's take another phone call. Just maybe you just need to stay here. Don't move.
I think so.
Caller, go ahead. You're on KRMS. Good morning.
Okay, I have a question. You know, the so-called liberals, it seem like are, promoting programs that give billions and billions away to other countries and other programs that's really not beneficial to the United States. And we owe all this money, I don't know what it is now, $19 trillion or something, but they never say how they're going to pay for that, how they're going to get out of debt. Do they have a plan, or are they just planning on trying to borrow more money, but they never address the debt?
Well, I guess it all kind of surrounds a budget, because you're supposed to have a budget, and in your budget you are supposed to set aside money for various things. And in most cases, I guess, I'm sure that you've had to create a budget at some point in your life. And I guess it's how closely you decide to stick to that budget. I know on occasion, maybe around the holidays, we splurge a little bit and we go into spending a little bit more on gifts or food or things for the holidays. But we still have to compensate for that. And do we do a good job of compensating for that? Do we say, well, if I'm going to use a little bit more money for presents and the holidays, how am I going to be able to afford all of that and maintain the budget as I initially put it together? I guess maybe you challenge politicians, you challenge people in Washington, D.C. to do the same thing. We've heard of things like balanced budgets, but I think a large part of it, again, It's not necessarily their problem when they're talking about allocating funds for 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Will they even be around to have to deal with it? I guess it's easy now to say what you want to say, and then essentially you just put it on somebody else's plate to deal with later.
Yeah, they don't really even have a workable budget. Haven't had one for a long time, and I don't know they just figure it's going to work out, or I don't know. They got to have some kind of plan, surely, because they spend more than they budget for.
All right. Anyway. Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. That's why we continue to watch that debt go up and up and up and up. USDebtClock.org. Yeah. That'll make you dizzy watching that.
I know it. Okay.
Thank you for your phone call, sir. I appreciate it this morning. 10:47 is our time. Just a little insight into maybe getting an explanation on where all the money goes is to talk to Ronnie Capps with the county.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and maybe he can explain how it all breaks down and where it goes. It's something, I guess. It all comes from the general fund, which road and bridge and employee salaries, depending on the employee, I guess, because some of the county employees are paid by the state.
Depending on what their position
exactly.
is. Exactly,
yeah, some are paid by the state. So that does come from the same fund, and essentially I guess that's what that lady was asking before. So it's just a matter if what was said is true.
Well, also, when you mentioned the general fund, when I asked Cliff, where is the money going to come from, the $650-something thousand shortfall, he says it's going to have to come from general fund. So instead of giving it to roads and bridges, like we said, the employees, he was also concerned about the fact that they were wanting to hire more resource officers, school resource officers. There were 4 positions. He said, we can't hire those because it's all going to the employees that are currently on the payroll.
I thought resource officers were handled by the city, not the county.
No, we're talking the outlying area, Max Creek, Stoutland, for school.
Those places that don't have law enforcement, the county, it's under the county's jurisdiction.
And if they're close enough to something that's going on in the community, they can be called from the school to whatever it is.
10:49. Let's go back to the phones. Caller, good morning. You're on KRMS.
Yeah, good morning, KB.
Good morning, sir.
About the roads and bridges. Now, I may be wrong in my thinking here, but, we've had overpriced oil for, I don't know, maybe 7 years, way up there into the $100 range. And roads and bridges have been taken in the shorts because of the price of asphalt and the price of gasoline, their trucks to get back and forth, and I'm sure it's really eating them up. But now we're going into a period where it's the opposite. We've got cheap oil, and asphalt should be going down, and gasoline has definitely gone down. Diesel fuel has gone down. So why don't we just ride this out a while and see if it won't correct itself? But I know the past problem was just too expensive of material. Now maybe we can equal it out.
Well,
that's all I've got to say.
Well, that's all you need to say, and we appreciate your phone call this morning. Thank you very much. 10:50 is our time. Joined alongside Kelly Ray in the studio here with something that I guess it just kind of unfolds the way it unfolds some days, and.
Hey, we got the phones lit up.
Yeah, well, and that was the point. That was obvious. That's always the point when we're talking about things, and it's been a little quiet, I guess, as far as local issues. I was interested to know if we had heard anything back from the sewer meeting that took place with the residents of Camelot. If you had heard anything.
Not yet.
No?
Not yet.
I guess that was supposed to take place the other night, and it was supposed to be rather heated because, again, It seemed like some things were said and maybe some figures weren't figured out completely as to how this is going to break down and whether or not it's going to be a workable system for folks in the Camelot area.
Yeah, because some of those people in the Camelot area, I've talked to several that say they can't afford what's out there now, and apparently with this study, it may go up more, their sewer bills.
10:51, let's go back to the phones. Caller, good morning. You're at KRMS.
Hi, KB. Before I go any farther, let me say this is not intended as criticism, just throwing it up there for a comment. I guess I'm kind of an outlier on the opinions I've heard so far today on the issue with our Camden County commissioners. I don't support everything Cliff Luber does either, but it seems to me like a policy where if one person, and usually it's been Bev on this, refuses to come on, even if the other two want to say something, then that shuts down any discussion or dissemination of information. So if you have two people who are pursuing, say, a liberal policy, and one who's pursuing a conservative policy, either side can block the other getting the information out.
Well, I guess in response,
what he had to say about spending and budgeting, because I think it's critical that we all, including the government, live within the budget we have. And when you start spending so much money that now they're talking about having to go out and take out loans to repair courthouse roofs and different things, I think that's a major problem. The people that work there hired on for that rate of pay, and while I'd love to see them get more money, that's just a fact of life in this economy. So I'm not criticizing your guys' policy. I'm just saying that there's another side to it. I want to hear that information, and otherwise it just never gets out, and I don't hear about it.
Right, so. And that's all good and fine as long as it sticks to the policy aspect of it. When you get into talking about other people and those people aren't in the studio to defend themselves, that's the point that I'm trying to make. And I say that at all times, if people want to talk about the issues, that's fine. We used to have it set up in a manner where at the time the presiding commissioner would come in and he was welcome to come in by himself. See, before any of this ever happened, it got to a point where there was somebody in a position in our news department that decided rather than talking to these people as a whole, which we used to do back in the days of Carolyn Lorraine, Tom Gum, Bev Thomas, they'd all come in collectively and talk about the issues. That was fine. Somebody then decided, well, I'm going to let one come in at one time, one come in at another time, and do it that way. That's all good and fine as long as you stick to the issues. But when you start throwing people under the bus and you start naming names and you start pointing fingers, I don't understand how that gets to the fact of the numbers and the budget. And, nobody's better than anybody. They're all on the same level. And if those types of things are going to occur, then I want people in the studio to be able to defend themselves and their actions as opposed to one person saying something and then it goes out and it becomes an issue where, did he say this? Did she say that? He said, she said, rumors get started, problems occur when it can all be addressed. And no, I get your point completely, and I think that's very true, and that has been explained in the process that we do need to get information out to people in the county about what's going on, where the money's being spent, how it's being utilized, who's doing what, but at the same time, you need to stick to the subject matter, and that point was brought up, but unfortunately then you can't do that, so then we're not, this isn't a battleground, this isn't a boxing ring, it's a radio station, and it's a forum, and it's an open forum, but it has to be used properly.
Well, and I followed you through that. I mean, I was listening during that period, and when that person left and we heard some of the stuff that had gone on, it was like, whoa, that's way out of line. So I understand where you're coming from. I just throwing my 2 cents in from the fact that I still want to hear the information, even if you have to find a different way to get it to us. So.
Well, that's why we have a news department, and I appreciate your phone call this morning, and we've done that in the past, Kelly. I mean, we've talked to the commissioners, and we've gotten audio from the commissioners if there's been a specific issue that has been talked about or addressed or needed to be addressed, and we felt that was probably the safest way to go because you're dealing with a particular issue in a particular time. Nothing else it's not anyone else being brought into it. It's you have a question, you have an issue, you ask someone, they give you the answer, and that's where it ends.
Yeah, right. And I believe we have someone on 3 or, well, okay.
Let's go to the phones.
All right.
Let's go to the phones. 10:55. I got to take them in the order that I received them.
All right.
Let's go to the phones. Caller, go ahead. You're on KRMS. All right, now let's take this call. Caller, good morning. You're on KRMS.
Yes. KB?
Yes, sir.
This is Greg again. I just thought I've been listening to your show here, and if you guys have any questions with regard to budget, I'd answer them if you wanted to.
Okay. Well, that's perfectly fine. I guess, Kelly, do you have anything that you want to put before?
Well, and I think we're getting up against a break, so I don't think we have enough time. But what I think the big thing is that's at the crux of this is, does the county have enough money to give $650,000 a year in raises? And
Okay.
if so, where? And if the county does not, where is it going to come from?
Right. Basically, in a nutshell, what this gets down to is this: at the end of last year's budget, there was several $100,000, I think $350,000, that was put into a fund to start expanding roads and paving new roads. After having the engineer look at what we have in terms of miles of roads, it became very clear that we couldn't afford to pay for new roads. So we moved that money into setting a place for some additional funding for employees that haven't gotten a raise in years. Now, here's our thinking on this. The county budget, the sales tax revenue, has been up 3%, 3%, 3%, 3.5% year after year after year for the last 4 or 5 years. Sales tax revenue has been up every year. And the county employees kept making the same, kept making the same, kept making the same. And at some point in time, and this is the nutshell here, we have to do in this county what's necessary to expand our economy so that we continue to grow in the private sector. But at the same time, and this is the crux, we cannot continue to balance the county budget on the backs of employees who are essentially have gotten almost nothing for 8 years. So when revenue began to increase, as it has over the last 4 or 5 years, the first priority is to protect these highly trained, skilled, professional employees that we have. We've got the best in the state.
Real quick, in 30 seconds, is the county in a financial disaster or heading toward a financial disaster in 1 or 2 years?
Not without with proper management, we're in great shape. And this is not just the commission that was involved in this. All the other elected officials that I spoke with, every single one, said that this was the right move, the right thing to do, and all of the other elected officials also said that they would find a way to make all these things work, and that as the economy begins to expand, we will move forward with new improvements.
Presiding Commissioner, we appreciate your time, sir. Thanks for calling back, and that's going to do it for us today. 10:59, thanks for jumping in here with me. Sure. You know, as always, folks, if folks are working at a job where they don't feel like they're making enough money, they can always go out and look to improve their quality of life by finding a job that pays better. That's just the way it works. We understand both points. Folks, have a great weekend. We'll see you out and about this weekend for holiday activities. I'll talk to you Monday morning at 6 a.m. on KRMS.
The Lake's source for news.